So
Literally.
when are we going to go live?
Oh, it's live, baby.
Oh, okay.
We're on.
Welcome to the Boiled Sports Handsome Hour. See, I did it at the beginning this time instead of 35 minutes in.
See, we're in practice now. We only did this like 3 weeks ago, 4
That's
weeks
right.
ago, 3 weeks ago.
I like looking at the site and looking at the stream, the feed of basketball beats, and it was like basketball beat 81, February of 2021, basketball beat 82, February of 2022. It's now it used to be weekly. Now they're annual. They're just annual podcasts.
It's a big deal. It's a much bigger
It's
deal.
like the State
much
of
more
the Union.
special.
You just
Exactly. It
get
is
all our notes together.
And similarly, it's in the Constitution.
And it went too long. I mean, just
from time to time, you know, the Boiled Sports must address the state of Purdue basketball
That's right.
union. You know,
that's right. And
The
union
nation
is
clamors. The nation
kind of strong. The union
needs to hear from their leadership.
By the way,
the State of the Union is. I think that's it. It's here.
It's there.
We're
There's
here.
a union.
We're present.
I thought about. I should have put this out as the assignment to everybody tonight. Robert Gill says, "Pathetic that this is the highlight of my day."
Cheers.
I don't know. Is that an insult? I think that's an insult.
I think it's an insult. He
And I think
insulted He insulted
well-founded.
us and himself at the same time.
and everyone else who tuned
which
in to watch.
is our kind of insult.
That's
If we're
the
That's
right
being
right.
type of
honest.
insult.
That's right. But one of the things I thought about, I should have assigned everybody this because they always respond well to whatever I assign on Twitter for the podcast. I should have come up with what it used to be. Defense lives here.
Defense lived here,
And
may live
that's
live
the
in
easiest.
the future.
Yeah, my brother said that back in November. He said that, and you could say defense lived here or just cover it with offense. That's it. But now you can't even really do that.
Exactly. It would have been great if they just crossed it out and
Yes.
like spray
Right,
painted.
and they
What were they doing during those games when Purdue wasn't stealing the ball ever? They're just like, who brought all
What do
the
What do they put there? I forget now. For hustle plays or something?
I think it was steals.
Yeah, I think it was steals or like
Steals
Or
turnovers.
turnovers
shots.
generated or
For-
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And now it's just
Nothing.
lives
The board
here.
doesn't move.
Now it's just basketball lives here. Defense moved, left no forwarding
Well, you know.
address. Robert, very good, very good. 2 for 2. Off the
So
bat.
it's
Good
you know
start.
what's the state of the union, my friends?
Well, Purdue entered the Big Ten tournament as a 3 seed, beat 2 inferior teams, and exited the Big Ten tournament as a 3 seed. Good work all around, committee, tournament, Purdue basketball. Jaden Ivey almost broke his ass 2 or 3 times. Good use of time is what I would say that weekend was.
So I think
Lost getting to play in Indy. I mean, it was a really productive.
well,
showing.
so I don't. I think they lost getting to play in Indy well before that. I don't think. Again, I think it's
every
pretty,
predictor had everybody who usually gets it right had them still in Indy as a 2.
Yeah,
So-
but they were wrong. I mean, and so the reason that they were wrong. Let's be clear here. Let's be clear with our.
They were a 3 coming in Indy. I think
Let's
that's
be
how it
clear
happened.
with our take-home message here. Our take-home message is that this is all Duke's fault. You know why this is all Duke's fault?
That's always a safe.
Because it's always a safe assumption, A. But B, Duke is not A2, which is ridiculous that they are.
Right.
Duke got bumped Tennessee off of the 2 line. Tennessee and Kentucky should have both been on that 2 line. So because Duke bumped Kentucky down, bumped Tennessee down, then Tennessee kind of bumped, the next Purdue out of their favorable matchup because they got the top 3 seed at that point. And then and Kentucky kind of got bumped out of their favorable 2 because, Duke.
Can
has
you
to
blame
be
it on
carried too.
Auburn a bit too? I could.
I think Auburn was going to get that 3 anyway.
They really crapped the bed down the path.
The 2 anyway.
They lost what? 3 of the last 5 or something. I mean, they were not playing well at all at the end of the season.
No, I mean, and to be fair, like everybody, we'll touch the bracket, I assume at some point here, but like everybody in the East is like not playing their best basketball. Like I don't
Yeah.
like, except for like the low seed, like Murray State is playing their
Right.
best basketball, which is fun. That's cool. I'd like it if they upset. I think
Kentucky.
Kentucky is who it would be. Virginia Tech is playing their best basketball. That's great, but
I have to
and that would
interrupt.
be
Are you
nice.
getting any?
saw a
Is everybody getting
chart.
feedback?
Yeah,
LBD.
I am, Ryan. I'm getting a little feedback here,
Okay.
but
I don't know what to do. I didn't change anything.
You're the sound engineer. You fix it.
Yeah. I didn't change anything. Like literally nothing.
but like
Not like we're in a dreamsake ends.
And so the nice thing about the East is that everybody's not playing their best. But Purdue, I think that the Big Ten tournament really didn't do anything. Like I think Purdue was going to be a
Well, that's
three
my
unless
point.
they.
I think it
went
knocked them out of
but-
Indianapolis. I really do.
I
You
don't-
think
I-
the tournament
I think-
did?
No, I don't think their play
No.
knocked them out at all. I
think
think
they
it
played
was
fine.
everybody around them. I think they wanted to bump Duke up because of a nice storybook, ending for K. Hopefully that's a first or second round upset.
That'd be so great.
And in Greenville, South Carolina, or wherever it was, which bumped Kentucky off, bumped Tennessee off, and that had ramifications for Purdue, where Purdue was going to be. It had nothing to do with the tournament, good or bad. I really don't think.
Didn't you think they were going to be a 2 though?
I thought they were going to be a 2 because I thought they were going to go to the Big Ten championship, and I thought they were going to play different teams. So I think what happened, I thought just by virtue of going to the Big Ten championship, they were going to play Ohio State. They were going to play
And Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, or
Yeah.
Michigan State and Wisconsin, or no, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, I guess. And then like Iowa, but again, the Big Ten championship doesn't matter.
Who knows? From the other side, they could have ended up playing Illinois, or they could have.
Doesn't that kind of help my argument? What you're saying? Because they
Well,
didn't
What do you
play anybody that could
Their
help
play,
seed.
their
Yeah,
play
yeah.
didn't do that. It was the matchups,
Yeah, they
right?
didn't have
It
anybody
was
they could-
all
But
They
external
lost
forces.
a game against a team that was a potential lower seed. Like,
Yeah.
What do you
One
mean
that's
they
my whole
lost?
point. Like,
Sorry, what do you mean
literally
they
all the way
lost a
through,
game?
I hate the
Iowa.
Big Ten tournament. I think it
They
has
didn't.
no
I
worth.
nope. Iowa had you were both right, and Michael was also right in the in our group chat. I don't think the Big Ten championship mattered at all. I think
doesn't.
Purdue could have blew them out, and it wouldn't have changed anything.
It's at 3:30 in the afternoon on Sunday.
It's the
Those
dumbest
seeds
thing,
are
and-
set.
It's really dumb.
Why?
Like,
It's
it
a
doesn't make
gift
it-
that was handed down from Delaney. If Warren, I mean, he doesn't do anything, but he could really.
Why not
just move
play
it
to
back
1
2
o'clock
hours,
The-
move
or
back to-
noon?
You know who else got screwed in this? Tennessee. Because
Ugh.
Tennessee went and won. Was the SEC the best conference in the country this year? Like strangely, the best, at least at the top
It was
conference
good.
in the
I don't know
country.
if
They
it's
were
better than the
really
Big Ten,
good.
12.
But all of a sudden, winning a really tough SEC, playing a really tough SEC road, winning an SEC tournament champion didn't mean anything for them.
They're ranked 5th in the AP right now,
I
and
mean,
they're a 3.
And meanwhile, Kentucky, like
They're
Kentucky,
playing
also
really well.
kinda
Tennessee
got screwed.
That's a team
Kentucky.
playing really well. Like,
Which
Ken-
team?
both Kentucky and Tennessee, I think.
yeah. But
I
I think
don't know about
Tennessee is super
Kentucky.
impressive. Like their guard play, all the things that I like for a team going to the tournament. I like Tennessee a lot.
But
Only thing I don't like about him is Rick Barnes.
yeah, well,
What don't you like about Rick
Lot.
Barnes?
He always chokes in the tournament. Only the way he gets
Oh.
to the Final Four is when he has like 2 future NBA players. I mean, he barely could get to the Final Four with Durant.
he didn't get to a.
He didn't
Final
get
Four
there with
Durant.
Oh, there you go. He got to
They
round
got
of
to a
eight.
He got there
sweet.
with
I
TJ
think they got
Ford.
to a Sweet 16. Yeah. He got there with TJ Ford. That's right. That was.
That's
a
right.
cool
He had
team.
Ford and somebody else that went to the NBA the year later.
Yeah, that was
And
a
that
good
was
Texas
right.
team.
Yeah,
But-
and was it? Oh my gosh, who was the guy on Milwaukee that defended Durant, that recruited Durant to Texas? PJ Tucker. Wasn't Tucker on that team
Tucker
too?
could have been on there.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, think about the line of lottery picks that he had. He had Aldridge before that.
I think. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's fair. It's a
I
fair
think Barnes.
criticism
I
of
think
that.
Barnes is exactly okay. You know what I mean? Like I think he's exactly
I think
fine.
he's
Right.
almost he's different than Gene Katie in that it's like Gene Katie plus a half step because
Yeah.
Gene Katie didn't produce the pros he did, but Gene Katie always had high seeds and teams that you're like, okay, is this the year they break through? But he
but
gets
see-
he gets an extra step. He's been to the Final Four 2 or 3
think-
times at different.
Oh,
places.
I think just once. I think that
Yeah,
Texas
just that
team
once.
one
I think
time.
I think it's.
Yeah,
You
I
may be
thought it
right,
was
but I
just
think
that
it's
once,
2.
but the thing is, the SEC also plays their championship game on Sunday, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So what should happen is that the Big Ten and SEC should move their championship games to Saturday, and the Sunday championship game should be the auto bids. So it's just like you're slotting them
Plug and
in,
play, yeah.
no matter, exactly, no matter
Oh, the
where
ones
they are.
the one bid leagues.
Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Ivy. Yeah, right. Like the Ivy Championship.
Yeah.
And a lot
I
of
like
those
that
are
idea a
done
lot.
so early. Do they do it because of TV, like making them way early? Right? There's some that have.
Oh, like a week early.
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, some of them
That would
are
make for a
weak.
much more fun Sunday.
It would be. Yeah, Sunday would be the auto bid day,
It would
which
be
is
they
great
would get
because all you
another
have to do is slot
day
them in.
of attention on those programs that don't really get that much. You're right. That would be a great idea. A niche for commissioner.
See,
of the
exactly. But
NCAA.
both the SEC and the Big Ten, because they play on Sunday, because they want those big ratings, because it leads into the tourney, the tournament
Yeah.
selection show.
because the because the tournament means so much. Clearly.
I mean, like that's the thing.
I'm
I
fine
don't
with
think.
going back to no major conferences, no tournaments. No, I mean, I guess that's
No, I
The
don't.
problem
I
is
don't. I
the
disagree
TV revenue. They will
wholeheartedly.
never do that.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
why
too.
would you? Why do you want it? What do you like about it?
Yeah,
Because it's fun. Tournaments are fun,
There's
and
a more fun one this week.
sure, but why not both? I mean, like that's the thing. Why would you eliminate
Because
one
there's
when
so
you can have
little to
both?
gain for almost every. What school? Virginia Tech maybe went to the tournament
Yeah.
and wouldn't have.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay, but most of the time, the vast majority of you should look back at all the SEC, ACC, Big Ten tournament championships.
I'm sure Rutgers got in because I'm sure Indiana got in because they won. I mean, like it plays a
Maybe.
lot. Also, to be on a single elimination kind of warm up before the one that really matters is great. Also, the chance to bring home another semi meaningful trophy is fun. That's the whole point.
I'm not saying I
right?
didn't enjoy watching it. I just think there's nothing. Purdue gained nothing. Purdue played pretty decently.
I agree. Yeah.
And gained nothing, and that sucks.
But they had a chance, and this is kind of the missed opportunity, right? Is that if they would have won, that would have been great.
They
right?
wouldn't have. But you just said you didn't think that would have changed anything. They still would have been a
but
three.
it
would have been great.
I said it didn't change anything for the seeding, but I don't care about the tournament for the seeding. I care about the Big Ten tournament because it's another way to remember a team.
Sure.
The baby Boilers, the only reason we remember them is honestly, the only banners that they hung were the regular season championship and the tournament, the Big Ten tournament.
But
right?
but they're much more important than that because it righted the entire program. The program was in the
no,
shitter.
But that's why we remember it. But if
that's all. I mean, I think if you go into the whole thing, you'd say Wisconsin fans might say, "I remember they beat us at the Kohl Center, and we thought this team wasn't good." Right? You'd have different blips from other fan bases. Seemed like Robbie Hummel was there for 17 years. I mean, I don't know if anybody else cares about the Big Ten tournament, like outside Purdue fan base.
Winning. See, here's the thing that annoys me with here's what is it? Here's what gets my goat about getting
grinds your gears.
Yeah, grinds my gears. Thank you. About eliminating tournaments is that it really just kind of boils down to then winning the regular season championship. But even then, we don't really care about that anymore because Purdue's won so many and it's not really mattered, right? So to me, winning the conference tournament is like a piece of silverware that matters, right?
Hardware.
But at this point, it doesn't. It's called silverware. It's trophy silverware. That's what it is.
What you eat with a niche.
No, it's silverware. That's what it is. Get a little culture in your life, Jay Money. It's called
hardware. It's hardware.
It's hardware.
It's
no
hardware
one calls it
here.
silverware.
Silverware's a fork and a knife.
Google silverware trophies. I dare you.
It's for whoever.
And is it a Wikipedia page that you made?
Yeah, go ahead. But the thing is, it matters. That's how, when people have forgotten, either way,
but
you're wrong, because when people haven't experienced it, that's the only way they do.
Well, let's just make three. Why don't we do this then? Let's break the season into tries and say there's 3 champions. We'll have a third champion and then another third champion and another third champion.
Ryan, we hung a banner for regular season co-champions. We do that already.
I don't care about it.
But the point is that there has to be something else, right? I know that our focus here is the Final Four. That's what we want. But there have to be other ways that we remember it, because otherwise only 4 teams matter and only the memories of the old guys that are here matter, right? The way that you recruit to to people to kids who have never been on campus is, hey, we always win the Big Ten and we make long runs in March. That's the only way you do it. If you take one of those out, then it starts to not matter anymore, right?
But it seems to me you're missing one main thing. If it is, because I can look at it from this perspective, Purdue perspective only, they won Big Ten championships before. They still win those Big Ten championships.
But what I'm saying is, all of a sudden, so from the Purdue right now fan 2022 perspective, I totally agree. But in general, we can't have just a Final Four or bust mentality, right? It can't be that every year.
No, it's not. This is literally
No,
the
I wanna win the
only
Big Ten.
year that
I wanna
I've
win
thought this way, where
It-
Final
yeah.
Four or bust is like, this is it for me, where I've thought that way.
But to me, I wanted this team to win something that it could be remembered by during the season. Right now, if the team probably plays to what is expected from this not great tournament draw, they're the team that got to number 1 and had Jaden Ivey, which is
How about this
fun.
question? How about this question?
They won
Maurice?
the
I actually
Connecticut
thought about
shootout.
this.
Whatever.
I thought about
Exactly,
this
with
during
J
the
Money
Big Ten
in the
tournament.
stands.
If we watch Jaden Ivey break his knee on a poorly mopped Gainbridge floor in a needless tournament, would your feelings be the same? Because I think this is a needless tournament. I think this is totally a made-for-TV event.
I mean, sure,
in fact,
but then
in
why
fact, it's
play
a-
preseason
it's-
games?
it's
Or I
such
mean,
a
why play
made-for-TV
non-conference
event.
season? Why play
The
non-conference
Big
season
Ten, the
games?
Big Ten held out, but this is the wrong thing about this. The Big Ten held out for an extra 20 years, didn't have a tournament.
Right.
And guess what? When they entered the tournament, the national titles went. They've had like one.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to. I don't know if correlation is causation there. Like, I don't think
Maybe it is. Maybe the fact that the West Coast zipped through the tournament last year, since they're all well rested. Maybe it is. Big Ten. Everybody says Big Ten style of basketball is tougher than any place else. Everybody says that. So another 4 games for the champion, who might be a number 1 seed, getting the shit beaten out of them by another team that's like them.
Almost like it's not the tournament that is causing that. It's the fact that the Big Ten encourages this kind of basketball. That the tournament isn't the problem. It's the referees, the way that the referees are told to ref the game. It's the way coaches are encouraged to play the game. In the Big Ten, it's like, I mean, it is a rough, physical, ugly style of basketball that doesn't translate to the tournament. It is encouraged by every at every level in the Big Ten, and that's not the tournament's fault. That's the commissioner. That is the referees. Those are the coaches. That's the point, right? It's not the tournament because everybody plays a tournament, right? And it's not those extra games because everybody plays the
Everybody
extra
plays
games.
a tournament because everybody plays a tournament. That's literally, that's all it is. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, they're all doing it. There's a TV event. We need a TV event. That's really the only thing that did it.
but-
And I would go a step further when we look at the worth of the tournament. Like when you say the lower, even if it were just auto bid tournaments, they're incredible because they're playing for their lives, right? It's incredible theater. All right. And we could debate, should the tournament get bigger? I don't think so. I love the tournament. I'm a big fan
the
of contraction
64,
at all
68,
times. Give them, more to want. But the Big Ten doesn't get helped by this hardly ever, does it? You see bids. I mean, how many Virginia Techs have there been in the last? I think that'd be an
Well, I
interesting.
mean, the Big Ten
yeah.
got 9 teams because of the tournament this year. Without the tournament, the Big Ten gets 7, probably.
You think Indiana doesn't make it?
I think both Indiana and Rutgers do
Rutgers
not
finished
make it.
fourth. in the Big
Indiana
Ten.
played in. I think Rutgers was in because of the nature of the way
Rutgers was
Rutgers went out.
I'm not convinced. I don't think so. But either way, yeah, they're every year one or two big.
Rutgers lost right away, right?
Yes, they lost their.
Rutgers
Well, they were
also
double
in-
bye.
So-
they didn't
so-
get
double
it.
bye.
Rutgers
So
was in.
getting to the double bye. Yeah, I guess.
IU
I'm
definitely
counting
played
getting
themselves
to
in
the
because
double
they
bye,
were
yeah.
the last team in, according
Sure.
to what everybody says,
Yeah,
which is incredible. I think that's a miscalculation. The fact that Michigan is in solidly
That's
down in Indianapolis
stunning.
is
well, I'll
criminal.
tell you
That's
part of. I was
stunning.
thinking about that more because I was one of the ones telling you I thought that Michigan
17
was
and
done.
14.
Well, they were 11-9 in the Big Ten, and Indiana was 9-11. So if you want to argue about why Michigan got a better seed, they're playing in a really good conference, and they're 2 games better than Indiana. That's probably what it was. And And
So I play
everyone
pre-coach.
thinks,
This
everyone
again, this
thinks
is the
Michigan's better.
I get so
Yeah.
annoyed by this. It's like, and I don't understand it. If you have a really crappy loss, it should be bad. And it seems to me, if I remember back, and I haven't studied Michigan. The only thing I'm looking at is 17 and 14, and then being a shoe-in. That's bothersome to me because that's
Yeah.
not a complete season,
Oh,
right?
how
If
many
they would have
17-win Penn State teams didn't
Oh my
even come
gosh.
close to the tournament, right?
Right,
Or
but they're not
Northwestern
maize
teams.
and blue, right?
benefit of
right.
the doubt, it's the benefit of the
Yep.
doubt that's granted.
Well,
right?
Michigan is. I mean, they are pretty talented, and I wouldn't
Oh,
be.
they're real
Would you be
talented.
surprised
And
at
that's
all
even
if Michigan
worse.
wins?
That's even
gets out of the
worse.
first weekend. Would you be surprised at all if Michigan gets out of the first weekend? I
No.
wouldn't. I'll probably pick them to do that.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to pick them, but like
They're gonna win the
I
first
don't
round.
know. So on a similar vein, I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis, made it out of the first weekend. They'd have to beat a 1, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Totally
But
could see
that's kind of
Memphis making it out of the first weekend because
well, of course
they're
you do
old.
because they're playing Gonzaga. But
I put it down on one of mine. It didn't stick.
but
I thought you
No,
didn't like
I-
the coaching.
I hate their coaching, but their length and athleticism is crazy.
What do you
like
hate?
they're an
What do you-
NBA team.
What don't you like about Penny Hardaway? What did Penny ever do to you?
What has he done to earn a head coaching job other than being Penny Hardaway? That's
he
literally
was
like
Penny
saying-
Hardaway. That's pretty good. That's
pretty
you,
good.
if you're Penny Hardaway, if you get
Knows
to
a lot
be
about
Penny
basketball.
Hardaway, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
look at all
I'd
the
love to be
success
Penny
stories of guys he played with, like Patrick Ewing as a head coach, just knocking it out of the park.
No,
I know.
exactly. It's always
so
works.
sad.
It's every
It's so
time.
So
sad.
bad.
I
'cause-
really wanted Pat to win,
I know.
but it's not happening.
Not good.
It's really not
I guess they're
happening.
going to keep him. That's astonishing.
It's Patrick Ewing. That's the problem with hiring
Well, they're at
Patrick
that
Ewing.
point, right, where you're like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
What could we possibly do?
I know. It
Like-
really has to be. He has to
Is there
step
John
down.
Thompson the third or fourth in
The
line?
fourth. It's got to be the fourth or fifth at this
Yeah.
point.
They fired John Thompson III.
That
Yeah.
was smart.
And apparently his father's the one who went and got Ewing.
Well, I mean, yeah. Big John this is a Big John's program. I mean, like,
But that's
you know,
incredible.
it is crazy.
So
What
so
were
we
they
spent a lot
before
of time
John
arguing
Thompson?
about the
Seriously,
big,
they were awful. They were nowhere, right?
They're
this
nothing.
year.
No,
No,
They were
before
like
JT,
6
Big
and
John.
25
Before John
or something.
Thompson.
Before Big John, they weren't.
John.
They weren't.
Oh yeah, no, they were nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were never
yeah.
really good except for when he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that conference tournaments are great. I really like them. I think the Big Ten should be ashamed with how they encourage everybody, including the referees and the coaches and everything, the way that they encourage basketball to be played. I think the way that they referee 7-footers is a
It's as though they've
abomination.
never seen one.
But it's
I mean,
not.
like-
That's not even isolated to only Big Ten games. I've watched games in other conferences. It's horrible the way 7-footers get.
I don't
officiated.
get it. And Painter,
don't either.
it's not like Painter has been quiet about it. I mean,
They
like,
changed a rule.
but they changed a rule
Stupid rule.
to now, like, both punish 7-footers for being tall and
Right.
also not reward them for being hacked.
Let me ask a question
Yeah.
because this came up in my, and it's immaterial to the bigger picture here. But I don't remember. I forget which game in the Big Ten tournament. You guys will probably remember. Edie got intentionally fouled, like manhandle intentionally fouled. And I remember, I think you talked about it on a quick cast. I thought you did, or maybe you put it on Twitter. He got and they said on the broadcast, I'm amazed that wasn't called an intentional.
Penn State, where he got grabbed by the waist and hit from the side.
Right. And they call it a foul, but they call it a
Conventional
common
foul.
foul. Right? They call it a common foul, though.
Mhm.
How come we will go to the monitor for flipping everything, but we won't go to the monitor for that? Now, let me be clear. I don't want more monitor reviews. I want fewer and
But you want
You wanna look at-
consistency.
but we're going to look at little touches out of bounds, or we're going to look at whether when someone collided, whether they were flailing their arm and should be given a flagrant 2 when it was clearly a basketball play, like clearly two
Yeah.
guys going for a rebound, that kind of bullshit. And then in that situation, nope, not even going to.
Grabbed around the waist, hit from the side by a different guy. We're not going
Didn't
to look
see
at
it,
it.
and I'm not
And
going to look.
they could see it in real time. Anybody can see it.
But that's not any different to me because just because they didn't draw blood, it's still a bigger call if you make it a flagrant or an intentional foul.
Listen, I know as well as anybody what it's like to be tall and to be oppressed because of your height.
Fair.
And
Fair.
so I am in the corner of these guys more than anybody.
Exactly.
I don't.
Champion of-
It's so
champion of the
wrong. It's so
talls.
wrong to punish somebody because of their size, and that's what they're telling them. It's okay to foul him because he's big. That's all they're saying.
Right. He has an advantage, so you should get one too.
You should get one. Exactly.
So, by the way, I'd like to just John Younger on the side here said, "Hey, I think I can see him screaming at his." He said, "Big Ten tournament is an auto bid tournament. Nebraska could have made it." Yes, when we said auto bids, we meant more, John, like single bid leagues, right?
Single
Yes,
bid
Big
to-
Ten is
yeah,
an auto
yeah.
bid league. That's a
And
very
I
good
and I
point.
backed that up, John. I said, how many times has that happened where a team has earned their way in with the auto bid?
Right.
I bet it's been one, maybe. Most of the time, a team like
don't-
remember Michigan won the championship and they charged through. I think it's the same year. They were gonna get in. They were gonna be the 7th or 8th team in the Big Ten to get in anyway, and they won the championship if I remember correctly, or went to the final.
Well, I got a better one for you.
Yeah.
How about UConn when they won
Exactly.
the national
I
title?
mean, like that's
Ollie's
a
Kevin
big-
Ollie's UConn team. Weren't they like 9th in the Big East or some
Yeah.
nonsense like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Kemba team played. We're gonna miss the tournament, won
Sure,
the Big
John,
East
sure
tournament,
you
and
were.
then won the title, right? So like that's the storybook, but that never happens. I mean, like that's
But that
perfection.
but that can't but last year UCLA in the first 4 they go to the final 4.
Yeah.
Purdue top 5 all season long.
Yep.
And by the way, Purdue's ranked 10th right now. Boiler fell out of his chair.
He's gone.
So,
He's stunned.
he's just absolutely stunned at this podcast.
Oh, I noticed his background now.
Yeah, he's got
I
the
noticed
Ross
the
Aid
picture. Oh,
3-part.
that's beautiful. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Nobody comes into Ross Aid.
And nobody comes in. Well, I mean,
fact,
according
it
to
looks
that
empty
picture,
in that
nobody's
picture.
in. It looks like nobody's in Ross Aid at all.
Nobody's in Ross Aid.
Nobody comes into Ross Aid.
Well,
This is the thing that's been up for about 2 weeks on the QuickCast. No one said one thing.
Well, because when you're there, it
Observant of a group
focuses on
they
your
are.
gorgeous face, and you
Yeah.
can't. It darkens the background because the light is on you. As
Yeah,
soon as you
yeah.
move, it comes into focus. I think what we're saying is, if you just vanished, that
Just
would
go get out of
improve
the way is what
podcast.
we're trying to say. It just
Yes.
like have
Look
a
at how clear that
exactly.
is.
That's beautiful, actually. That's beautiful.
It's very nice. I'll take one.
Yeah, it's I think conference tournaments are fun, and I think it's a good thing to win something. I think it is ridiculous that we award co-conference champions. Like, I really wish there would be a tiebreaker. In the regular season, they award and kind of allow 4
Right,
champions at one point.
because you could tie a team that swept you, and you'd get to claim.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
It's also the dumbest thing that the
You're all
selection committee considers everything except head-to-head matchups in terms of like where they see.
Loadout had a quick cast where he mentioned,
Yeah.
and I think this was really good. You said you never know what's going to matter to the committee. Sometimes it's how you finish. Sometimes it's your body work. Sometimes it's
That's the
your body
fun,
work.
right? That's the thing. They could really easily say, okay, these are the 5 things every year, right? These are important. But then, I didn't watch any of this. Generally, I'll watch those heads talk afterwards, and most of them, they're ADs, right? Aren't they?
Sometimes
Some
most
Usually.
of them are ADs,
Some of them,
or coaches,
usually.
yeah.
or not, or the 80s neighbors. We don't know, but
Yeah.
So these guys, they get to guys and gals. I think there's women in there too. They get to choose who makes the tournament, and they get to choose what the reason is. They get to make it. Like remember a couple of years ago, the net was a huge deal, and all I could hear before this year was net's not as big of a deal anymore. What is a big deal then?
Mystery box.
Ew.
It's just a flow chart. Is your team coached by Coach K in his last season? Yes,
Right.
no.
Right.
Pushes
That's it.
everyone down.
Plus 3
Well,
seconds.
I would say, we sit here saying like, I don't think Purdue got screwed. I think they got more or less what they deserved.
They get
But
what they deserve.
you could make
I think
an argument.
they got a 3. I think the 3 seed after it turns out if you considered losing the Big Ten title game to Iowa, the 3 seed was pretty well justified. I think
So what that tells you though, so if IU played their way in, then the tournament mattered.
for some teams.
That tells you that Purdue was a 4 before the tournament.
I don't think I think Purdue was a 3 during the tournament or at the start of it, and I don't think it.
So
changed.
it only matters for some.
Yes, correct.
Yes,
What
that's
the
right. It's
hell?
science.
Yeah.
The teams that I think have that I think have the biggest beef. I've already mentioned Tennessee. I think they got
Yeah.
completely
Oh
jobbed.
yeah.
And I think Houston, our old friend Kelvin
Houston's
Sampson.
what, a
they
5
did,
this year?
man.
Yeah.
Talk
They're
about a
really
body
good,
of
and they're a
work team. Their
5,
whole
and they got to
season
play
was good.
Chattanooga. No, I'm sorry, that's Illinois. They got to play UAB. Okay, they'll beat
And
UAB.
they got to play Illinois. I mean, like Illinois, Houston in the second round is awful for both of them. You know what I mean?
Didn't Houston play a good pre-con this year too, if I remember correctly?
Yeah,
I think they
'cause-
played like 2 good teams.
They lined it up.
Right.
So, like to me, I don't know. I don't know what else you kind of have to do. There are a lot of
5.
teams here that.
It's weird. And then weirdly, they give respect. I thought it was kind of strange that who
Well,
had the
it's
weird.
because Samson's NCAA problems are following him. He's not clean like Calipari
Exactly. You have to play
True.
with integrity here.
or Krzyzewski. Mhm.
Oh,
or
but
self.
Krzyzewski wouldn't lecture us all and then
By the
turn
way,
around and be an entire hypocrite, would he?
I was going to send you guys something today in a group chat. I'm so glad I can do it here on the public podcast. So you
For
guys
his
are, of
real
course,
self.
familiar with the couple more than once. Kay has lectured
Yeah.
an opposing team's player for
Right.
like shooting in the final minutes of a game that was over,
Because
right?
it's an
Like,
unwritten rule type.
whether
bullshit.
he's winning or losing, he's given this lecture,
Right.
right? Like it doesn't matter. Like you're too good a player to do that, right? You're both
It's
familiar
bigger
with that,
than the
correct?
game.
Correct? Did you see this? No one noticed this except J Money. At the end of the Virginia Tech Duke game, it was like final 5 seconds. Like the Tech players were walking towards their bench, and Krzyzewski's grandson took a 3 and hit it.
Oh my gosh, he should be struck with
No,
lightning by Zeus
it's fine.
himself.
It's fine, but I hope he got a very good stern lecture about that, because I'm not exaggerating. They were walking off the court and he was wide open, so he took it. Which, if someone did that to him,
He would be. Oh, he would pull the Greg Gard, where it was like he'd stop him and
he
start
wouldn't-
lecturing the
yeah,
opposing
absolutely.
coach on the court,
F
and
that,
everybody and all of the announcers would trip over themselves to say, "See,
Oh,
this
it'd be
is
like
the caretaker of the
teachable
game
moment.
right here.
Teachable
Yeah.
moment.
Get
Yeah,
out of here."
If he loses to Cal State Fullerton, oh,
It'd be
Just
great.
perfect.
Isn't that the team that broke Isaac Haas' elbow?
Oh yeah. So I wish nothing but pain and suffering on them. Yes, correct.
they should break someone's elbow next. That's right.
That is right.
Gosh, I forgot who that.
Because that was the week, and
I
then
couldn't remember when
Butler
that
was the next
happened.
game. Yeah.
I couldn't remember when that happened. That happened in the tournament. I couldn't remember that was the Big Ten tournament. Which would have
2018
been
in Detroit. I was in the arena.
2018. Yeah.
Detroit.
Ah,
Beautiful
more
venue for
good,
basketball.
bad Purdue memories. What else could go?
I don't know if you guys heard the factoid that I put down in the quick cast that this team falls short of that team in wins before the tournament.
Mhm.
That team
That
had a
had
lot
20.
of wins.
They ended the season with
I mean,
30. They had 28 leaving the Big Ten tournament. This one
That
was
was
27.
that was the 18 straight wins. So
Yeah.
I mean, but this,
That's
that's the
Incredible.
ridiculous thing is that this team has a top 5 talent. It has a really 10 deep roster at this point because Brandon Newman's back.
They are deep,
but maybe 1 or 2 players are gone, so maybe it's not quite 10 deep. But yeah,
Goes
Brandon
to
Newman
Caleb
emerges as others are gone.
Yeah.
But they miss 4 buzzer beaters. I know that there was extenuating circumstances.
How many
that
buzzer
shouldn't
beaters
have
did they
been.
win on though?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Was it
What was it? 2?
both
because
Ohio State
Ohio-
games?
Both Ohio State games.
And a double overtime game.
Yeah, but that's double over. So that's the thing. You can't let the losses
And
get
2
that close.
overtime games. My whole point is these are 1 possession games.
What's your point? They could have lost another 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Okay, they could have won 4
and,
more.
Mr. Stormcloud.
and 2 of those games were versus teams that weren't very good, if I'm remembering correctly. One was NC State.
Oh yeah, well they played
Yeah,
poorly
but that-
for
I mean,
35 out of
neutral.
40 minutes and then just
Right.
turned up.
But
the
they
heat.
did that this season. That's the thing.
was a
That's my whole
weird-
point. They would mail in a half, literally a
Oh, yeah.
half, where you're like,
You know what I
"That was
noticed?
awful."
They play really. They're like the meat of a sandwich. They play really good in the middle. They always start slow,
What type of
and they
sandwich?
seem to
Tell me
really
about the
wilt
sandwich.
late.
Tell me
But
more.
in the middle, pretty good. Right before
Like a
half, right after half.
Pastrami or,
Yeah.
what are we
Oh, it's
looking at?
pastrami. You know it's pastrami. Look at
Well,
him.
what is paint like some pastrami? No
Oh
doubt.
yeah.
By the way,
Smoked
that
meats.
I
I
don't
want to
think we
cook
talked-
more cooking segments with Coach.
I don't think we
Bell,
talked
by the
about this.
He's
I want to
excited
isolate that audio when they were asking him. His eyes just kind of was like, "Oh, I can do anything." you
Yeah,
want
that
as a
was-
cooker."
Found his
Holy
love
smoke.
language.
He was love. Yeah, he was. I mean, and
Oh, Coach with drinks and many smoked meats with
Who do
Coach
you want?
Woody and Coach Painter.
Yeah.
Like, just yes.
Coach
So-
Woodson scares the hell out of me.
How about this? Here, I got an idea. I got a solution, guys.
He's
I
a
think I
very
got it.
serious man. ahead.
Listen, I got the solution. You ready?
Yeah.
For our conference tournament woes. Really simple. Regardless, so you've got 14 teams in the league. Regardless of, instead of having 4 buys, those 4 teams don't have to play in the tournament. The other teams have to play in the tournament. And that way it gives the lower seeds a chance to play in. You still
For
get
an auto
all
bid.
your excitement. How about that?
And the
I am
top 4.
fine.
Fun.
I am no because
Auto
I don't want,
bids.
no because IU
Big
is
Ten
not going to be in the top
championships.
4 anytime soon, and I don't want them to add a chance to add any kind
Who?
of trophies to their cabinet. I'm good. IU.
Oh.
IU's not going to be in the top 4, and they'll have a chance in
They're
this
the only
tournament.
team
I
in the-
don't want that.
Northwestern, but those are like the only 2 teams worse than Purdue in the Big Ten tournament. Really?
Well,
I mean,
Purdue's
IU's
made
never
it
won
to
a
the
chance. They've been
final.
to the championship.
Purdue's lost in the
twice.
final, what, 4 times?
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
They've lost 4. They've won 1. Yep.
I mean,
That's 5
that's
finals appearances and
5 finals appearances is really good.
2.5
It
decades.
turns out that
comment. That's a good comment. It's important.
we will always
Act like this isn't worth anything, Anish.
the Cheese Crackers trophy. What is
Yeah.
that one from?
that's
that
yours.
Cheez-It trophy.
That's the Cheez-It trophy. Your
Oh,
Cheez-It
right.
trophy.
I couldn't remember. I was calling it the Great Connecticut Shootout because I couldn't remember the name.
Because it was
It's a
in-
good. You
it was
fooled
in
me
fun,
because
right?
it could be the name of it.
Well, people are still. Tennessee was there. North Carolina was there. I saw
Great
someone on
tournament.
one of those shows
only
say
4
something
teams.
about like North Carolina beat Tennessee handily back in November. Who cares?
Right.
Who gives a shit what happened in November?
Yeah.
Purdue
But
was
that's the bad thing, though. You know, this can be
unstoppable in
played both
November.
ways, right? You can say, "Who cares about this now?" But if you don't
just
schedule
mean-
those games, then they'll say, you know."
No. Those games are important to schedule. I'm simply saying when you
Okay.
talk about what's going to happen in the tournament now in March,
Different teams.
different teams that you absolutely.
That's the
need to
thing.
play
And
them.
North Carolina as an 8 seed. Oh, that's a dangerous 8.
I mean, and
That
Baylor's
is a
newbie
dangerous,
playing.
So
talented.
let's get into the East because
Yes.
first of all, the
I have a
East
question
region.
before you do that.
Go
Anish.
ahead.
Are we able to? Are you? I should know this by now, but you're the host. Are you able to project stuff?
I am. Yes. I will have to work on it, but yes, I am.
I was going to say maybe you could put the bracket up, or maybe I could. Wait a minute, maybe I can.
I
do it.
can-
share
I
screen.
can-
Oh,
Where'd you
It
find
says
that? Oh,
I don't know, but do I have to give you permission or is it a
Probably it's
permissionless?
shaded out.
Yeah.
so.
So let me do it
Oh
here.
no,
real
no! It
quick.
appears that it would
It
let
looks,
me.
it looks like it'll work. And that'd be
Ooh.
so much better than seeing either, you guys. Let's be real honest.
I don't know how to stop it though, so I don't think I want to do it.
Yeah,
It'll
here,
be like
let
a-
me.
I'm all for it, Jay.
I've
I vote
got the ESPN J Money. You want to plug the Tourney Pick'em challenge that you've been organizing
shut up.
every year painstakingly, and you forget about every year.
It's
Hey
every
guys,
year.
do you think we should
Up
do a tourney
yours.
thing?
Up yours, jerk. Just
So
because
for the backstory here, I'm going to tell all the listeners is every year Jay asks the question,
No,
are we going to do a bracket? Yes. Yes.
no.
You did
They've
it.
only been
You
auto-doing
did
it
the
for
hard
2
work
years.
already, man.
It's already happened. It's done.
They've only been auto setting it to repeat for like a couple years. You
At
used to
least
always
4
have to
years.
set it
At
up.
least 4 years because the name is old. That's not a classy enough name for what we are.
You're an idiot.
Oh, look at that. That's
hate all of you.
fancy.
Okay.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, I can almost read it.
I
It's
know.
terrific.
I'm trying. Yeah, it's almost like this
I
is
can
a
read it.
screen share.
I've got- yeah,
Can
my-
you see
my-
the Zoom? Actually, if I zoom in, can you see it?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
my
I
screen
like
sharing?
this.
Oh,
Am I guys? Am I on mute?
I
Am
feel like we're back at work.
I feel like
know.
we're on CBS right now. These graphics are so high tech. This is great.
Can you
So-
share my? Can you see my screen? Why did I pick
God.
Montana State? That's it. I'm picked. I'm there. I'm picking
Montana
Montana State over
State.
Texas Tech.
I'll tell you the game you want to watch, and I'll seriously right above that Rutgers
This-
ND team. Yeah.
By the way, this is how
If
all
you are
playing
not
games should
terrified
be.
to play Rutgers, you're a moron.
Yes, correct. I think
And
they're
that's a
going.
good
when I
game.
say
Though.
that, you think-
Alabama played half of a good season. They're like Michigan, but
Oh,
they played
Rutgers
the
is going
first
to beat
half of a
Alabama.
good season.
Rutgers is going to beat Alabama. I think Notre Dame might beat
Yeah.
Alabama.
I mean, it's kind of strange that Notre Dame is in this field already, but this should be all play-in games. All play-in games should be high major teams that sucked all year, like or that had
Make
these up
them
and
work
down
for it.
seasons.
I
like
completely
Rutgers.
agree.
Exactly.
I have no
To
problem
take a
with that.
team in an auto bid, a single bid auto conference that's going to be a 16 anyway, and make them play a game for the right to be the 16 is
Yeah,
such
it's horrible.
bullshit.
Yes,
and it is so
correct.
bad for
Because
those.
they did it on this side. Yeah, Wright State, and I don't even know what these words mean.
Bryant. I had a Bryant sweatshirt. Do you remember that, Jay, in college? I had a Bryant sweatshirt and I blacked out with Sharpie marker the B and the T. So it said Ryan real big. I'm not kidding. I got it from
I don't
Goodwill.
remember that.
was
I remember
awesome. It was
most of your
black.
apparel, but
Great.
not that. No,
Just said
and
Ryan on it.
well, since we're talking about things we've never heard of, I've never heard of Longwood, and yes, the joke's been made.
Yes.
Longwoods. Yes, correct.
But the Longwood, I usually know every school.
Where
Longwood,
are the Longwoods? Right
Right
here
there,
playing
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
They're gonna
Longwoods
get-
against Tennessee.
they're
We
gonna
often
get-
said.
they're going to get mollywomped. They're going to
Dude,
lose.
I don't
by
want any part of
35 points.
Tennessee. They're really hot. They're really good. They're really athletic. Yeah.
And is that right? Tennessee and Michigan in the second round. Like the
Oh, they're
Dude,
salivating.
don't-
I think
gotta tell
Colorado.
you,
I think
gotta tell you,
Colorado
watch
State's
Colorado
going
State,
far.
man.
They're
Colorado
good.
State's good.
Well,
They're
but when you think about, listen to this though. When you think about teams, we talk about teams getting screwed like Tennessee in the sense that they should have been a little bit, but 3 versus 2, okay, not that big a deal. Colorado State has a good year, and their reward is they got to play friggin' Michigan in the first round.
in the first
Michigan's
round.
going to be favored.
Yeah.
Like
Michigan
that
should have to play a playing game versus Duke.
or Ohio State has to play Loyola, which we all can find amusing.
That's tough because Ohio State loved their draw because they realized they were in Dayton or something like that.
They're in Pittsburgh.
Or yeah, that's right. They're here. They're in Pittsburgh. And then the next thing came up and they were Loyola, and all the Ohio State fans were like, oh, come on.
Loyola's different now, though.
What?
Hey, they're still
Loyola's
not bad. They're still not bad. They don't have what's his face, but they're
I don't got that magic.
So in the East,
congratulations, second round, you get to play Villanova.
Oof. In the East, it is a collection of teams that are really talented that just aren't playing their best.
Could North Carolina beat Baylor? I think they could.
Yeah, Baylor's missing their number one scorer. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So
you talk about a team that team they have 4 legitimate NBA talents on that team. I mean, they've got NBA builds on that team. Those guys are bad, man. So just didn't figure it out. They didn't figure out how to put it together till the end of the season. I don't know how many transfers they had in, but I think that's part of the equation. If you had transfers coming in, it took you a little while to gel. Look at IU.
So our favorite analyst, Seth Davis, he has St. Mary's going to the Elite 8, I believe, which might be a little high.
I'll do it because then our Boilermakers have a nice easy road. Go St. Mary's. Go St. Mary's and go. Who
that would be like Purdue
Murray
to
State.
lose to St. Mary's to go to the Final Four. That would be exactly like Purdue.
Kind of like VCU. Kind of like set up with VCU, and then
I can tell you that I think one of the hardest games is Murray State, San Francisco.
Oh, Murray State is awesome. Yeah. And San Francisco is
San Francisco playing well too.
Well, I was going to say that's one of the ones that I look at and I'm like, okay, there's mid majors getting a little more respect because there's 7-10 is. You're right there. That's not a bad, except for
I really don't like playing. Like, I don't like pitting mid-major. I would rather like an Ohio State get punished with a really good kind of mid-major team just to see what both of them are made out of. Like Michigan or kind of a middle tier.
You don't like to put mid-majors against each other.
Yeah, because then it's like if they're like both of these could make good runs, and now it's
kill
like
the dream for somebody right away. Right. I agree. I would like to just call out one comment on the right. Jennifer, some bracket guy on NBC this morning had Villanova over Purdue in the national championship game, which obviously I would take that.
I'd take
that matchup. I would take Purdue getting the national title game. I'd also just like to point out that Jennifer is one of approximately 3 women who've ever listened to the Handsome Hour.
No, who've ever commented. Let's just say the men
comment. The grand old era of the Handsome Hour when we had quite a few women listening, and we had college-age women listening. Let's be careful. We remember. We're not old enough. We don't remember that now, are we, Jay?
No. I remember.
No, but they might be. But those former students might be too old to remember. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Fair point.
I mean, I think we've gone too far. I think we're 42 minutes in. We are contractually obliged to complain about Chris Beard at this point. I think. It's in the contract.
I think I do have some responsibility here because a few weeks ago I said the nightmare scenario would be Purdue gets a 2 and then Beard is in the 7-10 game, and you guys were all very bothered by that idea, and it literally almost exactly came true. So thanks. You're welcome, everybody. I do think so. Texas plays great defense, but they can't score. So
they're a team specifically, to that earlier comment, they are a team of mercenaries that haven't really panned out yet. I mean, but the other problem is the analytics love them. Like KenPom loves them, but they just can't close games. They just can't get over kind of the
Tech is hot. Obviously,
it looks like they're winning, or it looks like they're not quite getting over the hump, right? So, and then like you said, J Money, Virginia Tech is playing well. But that kind of goes both ways, right? Which is sometimes they, these kind of teams that aren't very good overperform and then get to the tournament and flame out kind of immediately, kind of hit a wall. So I would very much like it if it was Virginia Tech and then
it changes my pick. I mean, and that's so I wishful thinking I have Virginia Tech winning, Purdue winning there. If Texas wins, they're out. Purdue's out.
I don't think so. Like
So you believe you think the
Okay.
Chris Beard voodoo is just too
Oh,
strong?
I think it's too great. I think Painter looks over, poops his pants, walks in the locker room, calls it a day.
But
As
that's
a
just
ham
too much
sandwich.
ribs. That's just too much brisket.
That's had nothing to do
That's
with
the meat sweats. Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, exactly. That's got nothing to do with Chris Beard.
I really don't think I want any part of Chris Beard. I really don't.
It'd
Yeah,
be
that handle brings up a great point, and Anish brought this up with us privately. It's a great point. Yeah.
Marcus
And he
Carr's
will. And he
carving
will.
us in round
Marcus
2.
Carr is on Texas. He's going to go off if
So this
Purdue
is the
needs
thing.
him,
So they
but-
still will have the Chris Beard defensive voodoo on Purdue. And then they're gonna have Marcus Carr too. And you think Marcus Carr is not, he'll just let him go. He'll just let him go. And guess what? He'll probably have, I don't know, 37 points, just like Ron Harvey Jr.
We are fully into
They'll score
Purdue,
47 and win
Purdue
46
fan
to
mode
30.
right now.
No,
We're
I actually think Purdue wins pretty clearly, no matter what in the first weekend, and then all of a sudden you run it. I think
Pretty
Kentucky,
clearly, huh?
Kentucky, yeah, I think it's kind of pretty. First of all,
I
Yale,
think they win
shout
one
out
game really, really nicely.
Yale. I hope we just Zach Edey him to death. Like
That's
I
exactly what we should do.
just Zach Edey him to death. They're 6'8", innocent center, and then their backup 6'6" center. Just Zach Edey him to death.
sweetheart
You know
guys.
what's going to
Very
be?
smart.
That'll be like a time machine. It takes us back to November, December. Honestly, Purdue should be able to just beat the living crap out of them physically, right? Here's the question: will Zach Edey get punished for being 7'4"?
Right.
I
He'll have
just
2
hope
fouls
it
the
just
first
don't
30
almost
seconds.
just take the lobs. They're going to front him every time. Just take the
Right.
lobs, and he is the one Purdue center in the history of the 7-footers that Painter has gotten
That wants to rip the rim off?
who just holds it high and rips
Yeah.
the rim down.
Yep.
So I hope that he wasn't looking very awake during the Iowa game.
Well,
or
that
was
first
it,
half was
I
bad.
mean, yeah, the first half was rough.
Like it was like he had gone into some sort of, well, I don't know what type of gas you would breathe in just to kind of make you a little drowsy.
nitrous,
Yeah,
nitrous.
just a little, not the
Just a
full dose,
dash.
but just enough to slow
Yeah.
you down.
He was supposed to grab the oxygen, but instead
Yeah, but he
grabbed,
went,
you know,
well, wrong
It was
one.
the
Dale.
wrong one.
That's
Why
too
is
late.
this nitrous even here?
Who put this here?
Why is this nitrous even here?
TJ was over there laughing. He thought this.
You never know though. Murray State's good. Maybe they knock Kentucky off, and then
I mean,
Purdue
like
only has
that's
to
it.
beat Murray.
My path to a Final Four would
I
be
love it.
Virginia, Yale,
Tech.
Virginia Tech, Murray State, and then who on the
St.
other one?
Mary's.
Marquette,
St.
St.
Mary's.
Mary's. Correct. You're right.
Yeah, no problem. That's gonna.
Well,
happen.
so I said this. I was thinking this today. Like, as much as when this came out, I thought we've got the
Let's fill
bracket
it
of
in.
death.
Yeah, let's
I
fill
thought
it in here.
I thought Baylor, Carolina, St. Mary's, UCLA, Texas.
That's one of my big upsets right there.
Kentucky.
Let's pick Carolina over them. We'll do UCLA. Yeah, no, we'll do this here. And then Purdue's road is nice and easy. What are you talking about?
That's what LBD does a bracket like that every year. He called it Purdue. It's just clears the path for Purdue to the most. See, I used to do that, and it was the most delicious way for Purdue to get there. So, like beating Kentucky is the most delicious path.
Oh yeah,
right.
I mean, like
going through Texas, that's a delicious path.
Yeah.
Going through Texas, then Kentucky, somehow beating Gonzaga would be in the what?
However, you would take this.
I would take this. We would hang this banner also.
This would be okay. This would be all right with me.
Yeah. No, but
I'll allow it.
Honestly, when Purdue went to the Elite Eight and was heartbeat away from the Final Four, we saw that draw and we were like, "Wow, that's it! It was a good season. Good night."
Right.
And then Purdue beat the brakes out of defending champ Nova.
Yeah,
you know, like Ryan
really
Klein had the best game of his
Tennessee
career.
Was that that first round game was for what a half? It was close.
And
they
Tennessee
beat the stuffing out of Villanova.
And Tennessee beat the crap out of Purdue the previous season. Is that right?
They beat them in the pre-con and
in the Atlantis
because they just looked longer and faster and more athletic.
Well, they would have won that game too.
Tennessee
I mean, that game went 99-94 in overtime, something like
ridiculous.
that. Like it's not like Tennessee had any trouble getting points up in that game. They just could not. Ryan Klein was unconscious.
Right.
So
and then you run into eventual champ, UVA. Right. And it's like we saw that draw and that was a tasty road and Purdue almost went through it. So you never know. So this would be I would prefer this road.
So I think the one thing a team always has to have to make a run is a guy that can carry them. Who can carry this team? I'm not trying to be funny, by the way. I'm not trying to be funny because the reason I say that is even on Ivy's big nights, right? What's his biggest night? 26?
27, I think. Like,
27.
I think he
But we
had
knew
130.
Carson had it in to put up 30 plus. He did it multiple times before that tournament run, right? And we knew he could bomb, right? If he got hot, it was trouble for anybody because you're like, okay, he's going to shoot from 25. The shooting from the logo was a thing, right? So that's nearly impossible to defend. In Ivy's case, really his ability to drive past people really gets him heated up.
Yep.
His 3-point shot has been sub 30% the second half of the season. It's kind of tough to know, did he get that much better in the 3 in the offseason, or was that just kind of like a good run in the, November, December? I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. I can tell you his motion doesn't look to me like a guy who's a natural 3-point shooter. He doesn't eat his ball coming out of his hands. Some guys, when they miss, like when Gillis misses, looks like it's a make. Right? When he misses, it looks like a miss. When he makes it, it kind of looks like a miss.
His shot is a little unnatural, and the stroke is definitely going to be changed in the NBA.
Right.
But if you listen to
he
scouts,
used to elevate. He doesn't elevate anymore. I know
if
they
you
did it on purpose.
Listen to scouts, what they say is he was a really good 3-point shooter in high school, and he's a really good 3-point shooter this year. And so a lot of them think that the aberration year is the last year, right? That being said, I kind of agree. Like his shot doesn't look, it really just does look like he's like a 33, 34%, 33% 3-point shooter, and he's kind of back at the mean, kind of right where he's supposed to be. That being said, a lot of his threes he takes are like a step or two deeper than they probably should be. But
he's going to need to be as good as he can be, and Sasha's going to need to play the role of Ryan Klein.
That's it.
Sasha's got to hit. He's got to score 10 or 12 points a game, doesn't he? And then maybe have one game where he goes off for 18.
Right.
20,
but the problem is everybody's pointing at his hand injury as being a big deal right now, and that's the reason he went 1 for 6. And if that's the case, that's bad because he's not going to heal in 4 days.
Nope.
So everybody's speculating about a hand injury, but
he had that dislocation. That's real. It's
that's
a
dislocation. Yeah.
But it was offhand.
Yeah, it was an offhand. But I mean, I've dislocated something. It doesn't feel good. And so that's the thing. And his whole shot is catch and release, right? It's on that curl, catch it quickly, get it out of your hands.
It almost looked like his legs were deader, like were more dead than his
I haven't seen him doing anything to be a threat that has to be dealt with, right? I mean, he's had too many games where he has 2 points, 3 points. Like I don't, and I love Sasha and I love his game. If he doesn't do that, if he has games where he scores 2 and 3 points, where are the points going to come from? I mean, maybe someone like Gillis has to.
It's got to be Gillis, Newman. I mean, Newman seems to be solidly back in the rotation, which is awesome. I mean, we're thrilled at Bold Sports. I think all of us.
I love how
really
the whole team is thrilled for it.
Oh,
it's so great.
I mean, that's why it's like, why can't it be this team? They're all so fun. Like they really enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Like, we are kind of alluded to it this year. Isaiah isn't playing his best basketball, but he's still, like he's not disappointed that Newman is playing really well. He's like Eric Hunter is playing the best basketball of his season so far. Like Purdue actually really has a dependable option at point guard.
He's getting close to playing his best basketball of his career. He's getting close.
Yeah.
So he's almost where he was in his height in sophomore year.
Morton has never looked more confident. I mean, Morton knows now kind of exactly where he's supposed to be. Like he knows he's so confident on both sides of the ball, which is fun. I don't know if Gillis's 3-point shooting in the last couple of games has also kind of dipped,
he's not shooting the ball as much either. That's the really interesting thing. I think he's shooting like 3 or 4 times a game now. You see, he'll come up and do the Ryan Smith.
Yeah.
He did it twice versus Iowa. Like I was like, dude, he should have pulled right there.
Yeah, I know. And man, I mean, the Iowa game was turnovers, and that's really it. There are so many things to nitpick about this team. Free throw shooting, like these 3-point shooters not kind of hitting some of their open shots. Literally, if Purdue doesn't turn the ball over 10 times, they win. That's it.
Sure.
Like we can talk about the scoring, we can talk about forcing turnovers. I mean, Purdue's a better defensive team now than they have been at any point during the season, which is nice. But they're still careless with possessions, and that's what kills them every single time, right? Like it's the careless passes from Trevion, who's trying to hit a home run every single time. It's Jaden kind of those times when, but Jaden's I'll almost forgive because he has these highlight kind of, like that he's a top 5 pick. So like he has
I
these
think
good
what you
things,
just
but
said about Williams and Ivy are the same in that they both want the home run every time they have the ball in their hands.
But at some point, I trust the NBA, top 5 pick over Trevion. I really wish that.
I
Yeah,
don't. And I'll tell you why I don't. Because it's magnificent when it works, and when it doesn't, it's horrible. And it happens a lot when it doesn't, right? It's not like it just happens every now and again. It's 4 to 6 times a game down the stretch.
yeah. I mean,
That's a lot of
I
turnover.
would rather neither of them. Yeah. But the other thing is like the game is kind of built around Jaden, starting to get to the free throw line, doing that.
Right.
At some point, Trevion, all of his superhero passes, he could just go up. And if it's a missed shot, it's a missed shot, but he could just go up with it and get a really easy shot. That's the thing. Jaden's going to do what he does. This is his game. You kind of have to adjust around it. That's the guy that you kind of have to play around just because he's such a supernatural talent. But for Trey, there is the other option there, which is just go up with it. Like, but he's passed first to the point where like it's almost like he's heard he's the best big man passer in the country too much. And he wants to prove it. I know. And it's
He's
like
a good passer.
You're great. You're not Jokic. And if you're Jokic, score 30 points a game too.
Right.
Like that's kind of the point, right? It's like you've got to take over when you can. So
I just don't like the only criticism and we've talked about Jaden Ivey being only a sophomore, and that people need to kind of remember that. But the only thing I wish he could just improve a little bit, I love all of his game, is the times he goes up in the air without a plan.
Yeah.
Like if your plan is to go up to get guys in the air and then dish to someone, obviously there's all sorts of things you can do there. But he goes up a lot and can hang there so long. It's like, well, I'll figure it out while I'm up there.
I mean, that tells you he's trying to do the next step in the NBA, which is why scouts are like drooling over him, is him understanding how the defense collapses on him and already calculating
where someone will be open.
Yeah. Which is like Ja does it. I mean, like
he'll get there.
Yeah,
he'll get there. He's 19, like
he will,
or 20. Like,
but like I can't believe just because I know. So the alternative for Jaden is like launch a 3. Right. Or swing it to somebody else. And I would rather just him have it in his hands. And I'd rather almost eat those 3s. The alternative for Trey's turnovers, which is why they aggravate me, is just go up. And just go up with it. You're a really good scorer out of the post. Like, just do it. And so that's kind of why his bother me a little bit more. But yes, you are correct. I would rather neither of them happen. I mean, like when Purdue doesn't turn the ball over 10 times, they win. This team is talented enough to do that. And like, I don't know
think about what we're saying right there. If you just cut down the turnovers, absolutely true. And Brian Newbert talks about this as Purdue's biggest problem too. And the problem really is your two of your leaders are the guys that are most responsible for those turnovers.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that kills me about this team over and over. As much as we love to see these dynamic electric plays, everybody loves them, right? And they're part of the reason that Purdue is a story, part of the reason Purdue stayed. By the way, top 10 all season. That's pretty noteworthy. Not many. I don't know many Purdue teams that had
lowest rank of the season right now, which is super fun. But go on.
Yeah. But it's to have your leadership be the main problem as well. That's a kind of a punch in the face. Now let's like I've been saying this all year. Jaden Ivey with another year of development is going to be incredible. It doesn't matter where he develops, right? We saw a huge amount of development in the off season this year, just him going through the Olympic coaching, having a different perspective in his ear, right? He's going to have that type of coaching again this year. He's going to get better. In 2 years, he's going to be incredible. That means he would have been a senior at Purdue. It's incredible to think about him as a senior at Purdue. But let's compare and contrast that to Johnny Davis and Keegan, what's his name?
Keegan Murray. Yeah.
Murray. They're both sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very responsible with the ball. Those guys, I think Murray had 2 turnovers. But they're so good with the ball. Like I said, they're almost robotic. They're completely different types of
they're different. Yeah, exactly. But I understand.
They're not as dynamic. But my whole point is those guys are both player of the year type candidates, and they do it a different way. They don't take the risk. And I think I love the risk because I love what comes with it with Ivy, but it's also part of the problem. I think that's
But I even say I get on Trevion for kind of, his passes, his turnovers. Two of them saved the game versus Michigan State. I mean, like the two kind of swing passes across the court to Eric Hunter for two straight threes. I mean, that sealed the game right there, right? So the reason he does it is because it pays off like that. But it is like, man, it's just like the team doesn't value possessions enough. I mean, that's why, like,
Tanner's been saying that since December.
if you look at so analytics is all kind of, like sometimes I think that it is like, the thought is like it's a bunch of equations. Really, it is. You know why offensive rebounds feature so heavily in analytics is because it gives you an extra possession.
Yeah.
You know why turnovers are so important in the four factors is because it cuts down your possessions, right? Like, and then it's 3-point shooting and free throw shooting. Like it's scoring, but really on the other end, it's maximize your possessions.
Right.
So Purdue's a great scoring team. Purdue's defense is playing better than it has been. That's in no small part because Brandon Newman is playing really well, really attentive. He has some lapses, but he's playing really well. Ethan Morton is playing great. Mason Gillis has been a great defender all season, but the turnover, the care for the ball, the care for every single possession, like needs to go up in the tournament to go far. And to me, the leadership thing is real, but also going into that 2019 season, would we have said, other than his work ethic, which was like out of this world, would we have said like Carson was like the, in your face leader? He seemed to just kind of,
I tell you, the reason you guys remember this, you're all young enough to remember this. The thing that I always thought that was the key for him and the reason he would get Painter over the hump was because of his ability to get flammable. Because I just think that is a formula. And that's my whole question about Ivy is he's not flammable right now. He doesn't just catch fire. Purdue will get, because the reason is he throws the wet blanket on himself. He puts the fire out. This is the thing that's interesting. There are some teams that have been so good and steady that they know when to take that shot. They know when to, drive. They know when to turn a game. This team, they turn a game and then they screw it up by trying to be super cute and set the roof off it. And then they go 3 possessions in a row with turnovers.
Those 3 possessions where it's
absolutely
you're
killer.
just not, it's killer.
Yeah.
I would rather just, swing the ball a couple times or just dump it down and get a quick like post bucket or a post attempt. It goes in, it doesn't. I trust our 2 centers. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like those are the kind of things that like I wish they did after some of these highlight players or some of these big runs. Purdue's up 10 to stretch the lead to 15. Like just dump it down in the post. Like just pretend it's the beginning of the game again, and get Zach a couple touches or get Trey a couple touches.
There's nobody right now who, to that point, like that team in 2019, Klein or obviously Boogie could catch fire, right? And I'm trying to think now. Do they have any other shooters that could do that? I don't think they did.
But they surrounded them with defenders and rebounders is really it.
Right. So this team doesn't play great defense, and they don't. Who do they have that could? Sasha's supposed to be that guy who could get hot.
Sasha takes it off the top,
and hits 4 or 5 threes in a game. He's the guy who is supposed to be that guy. He's a senior. That's his game, is shooting. I mean, I guess Newman can do it. I guess Mason Gillis maybe could do it.
No, it's Sasha. Yeah.
Not.
It's Sasha. And also this team is a little different because the load is so distributed, right? You don't need a guy like Carson scoring 30 points a game. Whereas on that team, what are you going to do? Ask Nogel to score you 30, 15, 20 points a game? Like it was Carson and Klein that really had to put the points up. Like Harms was there, but it was those two that had to put them up. Here it's a little more distributed, but yeah, you need to count on Sasha for like 12 to 15.
That distribution is a good point, but I also think it's in the tournament, you need a guy who kind of, like we were saying, catches fire and leads you. Like the whole distribution thing is nice in November and December, and look at how many guys scored on this team. But in the tournament, you just need someone who's going to take you to a win. I think.
I think Jaden can.
That lull that every team has where nobody's doing anything, and then they just catch on, right? Because if you're a real consistent team, like let's say Villanova from when the last time they won the national championship, they were a pretty evenly scoring team, but they had one guy who could catch on fire. I can't remember what his name was. because I think he was a guy that like went to the NBA and played like 4 minutes and was sit down to G League. But he was really good at Villanova. I think did he hit the game winner?
Like Archidiak. Oh no. Oh my gosh, I can hear the call in my head.
Right.
Yes, I know who
Kind
you're
of a
talking about.
stocky, light
Yeah,
skinned black guy.
yeah.
Yeah. Darden Abbott. My brain. But anyway.
But sometimes though it's like if Trey is going to score 12, if Edie's going to score 10, like if you're hoping that Hunter gives you another 10. Chris Jenkins, thank you, Handle.
Smarter man.
I can hear Jenkins for the championship.
Yeah.
For that lagging 3-pointer. Oh, that was so good.
But that's why you need him, though. That's the point. Wait, light bulb dummy.
Yeah.
Not you, me. So versus Tennessee, it was Klein, right? Versus Villanova, it was.
But that team
Boogie.
had to.
Versus Virginia, it was Boogie, right? You had guys that would make the shot and could make the last second shot. The tournament, the margin for error is so thin. So you have to have somebody that makes that shot at the end. We know Ivy can do that. We've seen him do that, right? The question is, Purdue, can they get down to that one possession game versus the best teams here? I think we'd take those odds, right?
Yeah.
Odds have been against them so bad this season.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other thing is like at some point, like we can like I was saying, there's a dozen things to nitpick about this team. First of all, 27 wins. I know we didn't win the Big Ten. I know there was no Big Ten tournament championship, but it's still 27 wins. They got to number 1. They have a top 5 pick. It's a really deep team. This is a really good team. That being said, it's like just cut the turnovers down. We can talk about 3-pointers. We can talk about, the defense. We can talk about, like consistency or not having that, the 30 point per game score. Just lower the turnovers. And all of a sudden Purdue, like, I don't know how many games there were that Purdue lost, or even heck, even go to the overtime games or like the game winner kind of in regulation games. How many of those were double-digit turnover games? Like it really is Purdue's offense, even with the poor free throw shooting, even with the poor defense, Purdue's offense is good enough that if you just maximize possessions, it's going to happen. And so it is just being precious with the ball. It's realizing this is it. This is the season. And but the problem is it's March. And it's not like
and
that.
They didn't get better
season.
when Painter warned them about this either. And so it's partially their fault because you have a bunch of guys that are veterans, because it wasn't, like we said, it wasn't just freshmen or auxiliary players turning the ball over. But that's also, so then I start turning it back on Paint. And I'm like, dude, you had to do something there too. You should have used the power of the bench or something, right? Find the buttons to push to wake these guys up. Say, hey, if you're going to play that way, I can't keep going this way. Not like out of anger, but just say, look at what happens when we get in that middle of that 12-point dive every game where they're giving away the huge lead they built, right?
I mean, it happened.
He didn't stop it either.
But it happened with Newman, like as recently as the Big Ten tournament.
Like he used the bench with Newman. I mean, this is me like saying, where's the consistency? Like you can't tell me Isaiah Thompson has played that much better than Newman.
He did in the middle of the season. I mean, like in the middle of the season, he had a great Iowa.
He's never been benched for 2, 3, 4 games in a row.
Yeah, until now. Yeah, I mean, like, and
he's still playing minutes. He's still playing minutes. First gets benched because of Newman's problem.
Because we don't have a backup point guard. I mean, that's the problem. Is that
that's why Jaden's bringing the ball up a lot. I don't know.
But you need an off guard. There is no other off guard other than other than Isaiah. And the other part of that is when Ivy kind of almost broke his tailbone, that was that strange lineup. And it was that strange lineup was in only because Jaden needed a second, and Jaden didn't even sit down. He was standing next to Painter, on the sideline, like ready to come in at the next thing.
That's the thing. This is the thing that's so great about Ivy. And I know there's this weird contingent of Purdue fans that not only do they think Purdue's worse with Ivy, they think that they need to tell me that at Boiled Sports every 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah, I got it. Cool. You don't think Purdue's good with Ivy. Here's the thing that I can give Ivy credit for. I'm going to go ahead and we talk about this top 10 ranking the whole year. They were preseason ranked top 10 because of Ivy, because of the hype built around him. Okay. They stayed around the top 10 because of Ivy. Okay, so the good and the bad. This is his team. That's the way I'd look at it, right?
And it's been pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it
good.
seems to
But
be
here's
not bad.
here's the thing you got to love about him. I hear Purdue fans say, "Oh, too much." What's a hero ball? Is the thing I always hear. I hate that. But here's the thing about Ivy that you have to love. I don't care who you are. Takes responsibility after games. I
Every
screwed
time.
up. I screwed up. He says it all the time. He says it more than any star I've ever
He
seen.
said it on the Ohio State game winner, which he could have
Yes.
totally played off.
Right.
And he was like, I went the wrong way.
I went the
had to
wrong
beat
way.
that."
It was my fault. I didn't hear what he was saying. And then the other thing is his toughness is out of this world. I know that's his fault too, because he chooses not to ever use his feet. Ever to land.
He only lands on his ass, on his
Yes.
tailbone or
See,
his
if you have an
shoulder.
ass like mine, that's fine, but not with him. He doesn't have any
He lands on his
cushion. And
arm. He lands on his elbow sometimes. I'm like, oh.
when he goes holding his wrist, I'm like, yeah.
I know.
It's-
Just give us health.
It's
By
hell.
the way,
It's
so
amazing
that-
to be
Jennifer
young.
brings up that number one play on
Yeah.
Sports Center.
He had a
And I
couple,
brought this
didn't
up in the quick cast. He totally goes into the defense with the ball, though. Like I'm like,
Oh, you mean with the
he
on
goes
the
around
on
back
the one
into
where
a triple team, and then fades off of them, uses them as a
Falling
bumper.
down? You mean that one?
Yes.
Where he,
Yeah.
yeah.
that was the one that he fell down on. Yeah. I mean, to me, like Carson was the reason why, like all of a sudden, like Purdue being just a big man in school is now gone, right? Ivy is now like Purdue. Purdue doesn't have athletes. Purdue, there are no athletic wings, anything like that. The next guy is going to come to Purdue because of Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey
Hopefully,
is going to
isn't
be
there a guy that's kind of on the fence right now for that great class 2 years from now?
he's already committed. I think. I thought the Gibbs Lawhorn, Dre Gibbs
No.
Lawhorn.
There's another guy. There's a forward,
Okay.
like a wing. Maybe he's a bigger
Yeah.
forward.
But
Darn, I can't remember his name, but he's on the fence. He's got down to Purdue and somebody else.
But to me, like
That class would be incredible.
the
Maybe
reason is
top five.
the reason is because of Jaden's athleticism in hero ball. The fact that he's going to be an NBA superstar, or at the very
Miles
least one of
Golden.
the promising young NBA players, in a couple of years. That's that's it. Like this is how you modernize a program, right? And so, I think it's
No, it's not Miles Colvin. There's another
No,
one.
yeah,
Good
it's
guess
not.
though. Handle.
Motor City Boiler says that Ivy reminds him of how Lewis Jackson used to fall after driving to the basket. And I will say, as I've been to a few games in person, the difference is Lewis Jackson wasn't as big of a man. And when
respect,
Ivy
yeah.
doesn't fall down gracefully either. Ivy's like,
It's like a baby deer, like
well, it's like it feels like a bookshelf falling over, just the way that they're like there's so much thumping. Like the way he like all his limbs kind of hit at different times on the floor, and it just makes this horrible sound. And he's fine. He gets up and keeps playing.
To me, it's like he's one
He's
of the
away from the
toughest.
camera well. He's like
he's-
past the.
He's one of the toughest players. He says he does that in practice all the time.
I believe it.
And I'm
It
like,
looks
Jake,
it's
why
part
are
of his
you taking
routine.
falls like this in
the
practice?
thing is,
It's
he
practice.
doesn't get. He really
money.
doesn't understand this. When you're about 30, you feel those falls. Like he's taking that blow now. You feel it when you're 30.
By the time
And then
he's
it just-
30,
and then it
he's
just mounts. Every time you got hurt back then your body remembers. Like, oh yeah, remember that ankle injury? Remember that back injury? Remember that shoulder injury?
he'll have about $150 million worth of chairs and cushions
lay
by
on.
the time he's 30, so he'll be
the
all right.
Scrooge McDuck and swim
Yeah,
around.
exactly. He's so tough and he cares and it's awesome. We can again nitpick his game like for rightful reasons, but like that he is amazing.
I think
and
what you're
it's
saying is you
fun.
don't want it to end anytime soon.
No, maybe 6 more
Right.
games of it would be nice.
That's the sad thing. I mean, like that to me, that's the whole thing. Is that we're not
This
going
is
to get to see. We're not going to get to see his full
His best.
potential as a college player.
not even close.
Right.
If he stayed 4 years, we wouldn't. That's how much he's still got to
No,
grow.
but at least we
and
could
that's
say
how-
this is like kind of like the
Yeah.
whole thing about this era where Newbert complains about the COVID year, and I agree. I think it's something to complain about because you have grown men who've been playing for 100 years.
I mean, Illinois starting a G League team.
Man, that team, if you don't, I don't understand how people don't pick them to go someplace because, gosh, they got some age and they've
Underwood.
got good guard play and they've
I don't
got
trust the coaching.
size. Only thing
Yeah,
they got
Purdue handled them this year. So I don't know. Illinois doesn't frighten me. that much.
matchups. It's matchups. Purdue
They're going to
has-
lose to Chattanooga. Oop. Did I say that out loud?
They're not gonna
Illinois.
They're not
Illinois is
gonna-
going to lose to Chattanooga.
No,
Yeah,
they're not.
Illinois is
Yeah.
going to lose to Chattanooga.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's good that Houston. I think it's going to be that Houston game. It's that's going to be a fun matchup.
The reason I would pick Chattanooga is because I don't think they're getting past Houston either way. So
Yeah, I think
so
Houston's
so
really
pick
good.
your upset anyway.
5 seed Houston's ridiculous. No, it's like I think first got to get through Yale. The mighty Yalers.
Yeah, somebody said that. What if Purdue loses to Yale? I said, shutter the whole program.
Yeah,
Shutter the program.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's you
Okay, they
walking
lost
into the
to-
whale's mouth.
was it
That's
last year? North
that's the
Texas?
worst.
But
that would be
North
the-
Texas was like a lot of people's like trendy upset pick, even kind of before they were matched up with Purdue.
they were
Yale is like
yeah.
Yale upset
They shouldn't be in the
Princeton.
tournament.
Yeah, Yale upset Princeton to get in the
Right.
tournament, and their biggest player is 6'8". And Zach Edey is speaking of like why Purdue was ranked in the top 5, Zach Edey, a lot of people got off-season looks at Zach Edey and they were like, what in the world happened here?
Well, think about what they had. You had Williams was a preseason All-American anyway, and then you had Edey and Ivy become who they are over the summer.
Yeah,
I mean,
correct.
Incredible.
So it's like, to like just get it inside and let Jaden take the day off and let, have him have one nice,
Painter won't
highlight
do
reel
that.
dunk.
By the way, Painter won't do that. They'll be up 30 points and he'll have Ivy still in there. I don't understand it. They've been up big in some games or games that are not in doubt anymore, and he's got Ivy in there. I'm like,
He wants him to. He doesn't want the team to choke that away.
I would be. Gosh, it would be so great if he didn't play the second half.
It'd be
So
awesome.
great.
It'd be great, but they should like Yale, North Texas again last year. Absolutely, you can bring that up. But North Texas should have been. North Texas was kind of a trendy upset pick, like earlier.
Are you saying Yale's not?
Yale should be at home, and so
honestly, this is the first time I can remember Purdue coming to the tournament without media talking about them being an upset pick.
So right now it's the second. Right now, a lot of people are picking against them in the second weekend, either against Virginia Tech because they beat Duke in a high-profile game, or Texas. Actually, not too many are picking Texas, which is strange, and I don't like that. That doesn't make me feel
picking
good.
Texas Tech because they're still pretty good.
They've still got kind of remnants of Beard's program there.
They're good.
Remnants of Beard.
Sounds like a good band name.
Yeah, exactly.
Remnants of Beard. That's a great band name.
Yeah, I like it.
Alternative band name.
Oh, Motor City Boiler with the rim shot. I hear Yale plays smart basketball. Get out, sir. You off the stage.
I think that's our cue.
We'd like to thank Martin Vintage. As usual, we're going to thank them 75 minutes into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Go to martinvintage.com and get 15% off by entering Boiled at checkout. We would also like to thank our friends at AJ's in West Lafayette. If you're in West Lafayette, go to AJ's, go to eataj's.com. And our friends who are on hiatus at
that's funny. That's funny.
Mitch Wright says Ivy versus Ivy. Very, very good.
Very good.
Very good. Well done. Our other friends at Gridiron Metalworks, however, they're not taking orders till March 31st. I think the key thing when you're doing any sort of college apparel or paraphernalia is shut down ordering in March. That's, all the experts
generally the best
downtime.
practice.
It's downtime.
It's downtime. It's R&R. You're just watching the tournament. You can't expect, John Faker, where's Michael? That's a great question. I encourage everybody to ask Michael on Twitter.
I know Handel wishes Michael was here too.
At the railroad tie, you need to message him, ask him where he was. He's very busy tonight. Quick note: the Boiled Sports merchandise is going to be increased this week. There's going to be a beverage holder that is not as fragile. So it only took us a couple years to realize, hey, maybe we should. Since we're shipping these to everybody, maybe we should make them more indestructible, less destructible. So
less destructible. That's correct.
I've often said
that's
that
copyright
we all need to
guy
be
right there.
more destructible.
So they're going to be well, you'll see them. I'll put them on the site, but they're going to be a metallic, kind of like a Yeti, only a small one. That'll be perfect for bourbon or for
like me, a little Yeti.
It's actually a 2-in-1. I think it's really cool. It can hold your drink, and it can also be one of those can coolers where you can put your can in it. Not that can.
Oh, Darn it.
We invented it. We hold the copyright. So
That's right. That's right. We created it in the Boiled Sports lab.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. We branched
The
out.
Boiled Sports product lab is right next door to the analytics desk.
That's right.
They're in the next room over. Those are the smartest people in the building.
So, hey, the first 4 games will at least be interesting. We get to see IU maybe have their season ruined, which is also always fun. We get to see Rutgers probably lay the wood to Notre Dame, which is going to, of course, be fun.
Let's do this.
Who doesn't love Rutgers in this room?
All of
You
them.
know,
ship-
Jay,
yeah,
I don't know
if
if
you
you know
can
this.
ship some
That's the
Rutgers stuff.
State University of New Jersey. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
birthplace of college football, in fact.
Right. Scarlet
Still home
Knights.
of college football.
Well, guys, this has been fun. Really appreciate all the people tuned in live. Appreciate the people that are listening to it taped as well. And we're just
Taped.
4 days taped. It's on the big reel to reel.
You're just and don't you have a tape recorder next to it? Right
Yeah, it's right here. It's right here.
Goodness gracious.
now?
Joke the crowd. I do appreciate it though, even though these guys are jerks. And thanks for everyone tuning in. Love you guys.